On the one hand, you have people, relationships, communication between the team. And on the other hand, you have pure code, like technical stuff, which doesn't have any emotions, and you have to kind of combine the two. Hello and welcome, guys. Welcome to yet another episode of Q&A over coffee, where we drink some coffee and we talk about a specific topic. And I invited another special guest today. I invited Egor, who's going to share with us top 5 tips about efficient and productive code reviews. As I ask everybody on this show, I'd like you to tell me why do you think the guys deserve to listen to you, and why do you think you have like a special story, a special topic for us to listen to?
Good day, everyone. My name is Egor. I am a team leader in a company. I have experience of 4 years in which I have efficiently done code review to my teammates. So I think I can share to everyone a bit of my experience and some of things that could be improved in everyone else's code and process of work.
So, without further ado, let's dive into the topic.
And for start, I would propose to everyone to not take so much care regarding the part of the code style. There exist a lot of tools for continuous integration, continuous development that can do it instead of you. Exist a lot of packages. You need simply to configure a good environment, providing us the required feedback before even the pull request is
that's like something normal, something okay. You don't need to waste your time, because if there's anything you want to automate, you have to do that. You'd rather waste 1 hour to automate 5 minutes of work, but when you scale that to a lot of teams, a lot of days, a lot of months, you could say, that's absolutely beneficial.
Mathematical logic.
Yeah.
It provides us ability to see how many operations are done for specific solution. For example, a case from my practice. We had a solution in which we have a flag which decided to do some external processing. It was collected before checking the flag. So we was always doing for the standard approach the extra calculations. Yeah,
there's also another rule, like it's called early return. Try and filter out all the bad cases first, and then just leave the happy end,
Yes, and it always improves the readability of the code. So less operations give you more clear what is happening in the code.
Try and minimize the number of operations, the number of things you're trying to do, maybe the order of things you're trying to do, so that in the end you have the highest, the most efficient way of achieving things, of doing things.
One of the next tips which I want to recommend to everyone: always try to understand to fully what is doing the code. Not only what wanted to do developer, but what really.
But I'd actually try and fill in the gaps a little bit and say that before you try to understand the code, make sure the pull request has some sort of link to the original ticket. Have a look at the requirements first, understand what is actually or what was the developer actually supposed to do before even having a look at the code, because you might have a look at the code kind of works, it does something, but that's not required.
And there are always cases when developers misunderstood what are real requirements.
It happened a lot of times to me. I'm sure it happens to everyone.
Yes, they're not asking sometimes reporter feedback. They are taking first look and saying, oh, I understand everything. He's doing the pull request, and after someone is reading and seeing solution and thinking, what the is going here? Why it is here?
As a developer, while you develop, sometimes you have to ping with the one who created the ticket, and this way you kind of redefining, shaping the requirements. Maybe something that they wanted to be implemented doesn't align with the way we work, with the way we do things, and maybe they don't even know what they want.
Well, yes, there are always cases when your technical platform doesn't allow you to make some complicated things.
As you said, making sure the code works as it's intended to work comes hand in hand with making sure you actually understand what you have to do before you put up a ladder on a wall and you start climbing it, realizing at the end that you didn't climb the right ladder, let's say.
And next tip would be always investigate what the code is really doing.
Yeah,
Especially when you see someone's code, it's not only what he have written, but it always includes some usage of some frameworks or some libraries,
like
which you could not understand.
Especially if the code review has like some sort of, a pull request template. I like to include like steps, how to test, like things that have changed. Maybe like a small like tagline would help the developers just understand so much better the code review. Like
if you are seeing the usage of some new functionality, you should not making blind, okay, it's new functionality, it means that it's okay. Please open, look how it works. The developer which is developing could simply misunderstand its usage.
Especially if we're talking about something new, you have to first of all make sure the whole team agreed that you're going with something new. And then,
of course,
once the team agreed with the new implementation of things, especially that we're talking about new implementations, you have to make sure they work.
It's better in these cases when you want to add something new to provide a kind of spike, or to make a small presentation of the technology, and not start developing on the new technologies.
Maybe people have better options or concerns about how it's going to affect like the team in the long run,
And we could have some limitation. For example, for new functionality could require from us a new server or something like that, which company could not allow. And for a last point, I would want to mention that when you're identifying a problem or a thing to improve in a specific pull request, and you want to write a comment in the pull request for that person to fix it, add some details, explain the problem, how it can be solved, and do it in most friendly way you can.
And you have to be explicit, you have to say fix it because this may happen, because this is better, because why this is better, like throw in a link, throw in a suggestion on GitHub if you're working on GitHub. Like all those things are welcome.
Yes, arguments are gold always.
Yeah, as somebody said, don't raise your voice, improve your argument, This happens the same in code review. Like don't just, let's say don't increase the number of comments, improve your arguments on the existing comments.
An additional point could be never take personally the things which write in this code review.
Yeah, it happens a lot.
Mostly you are professionals which are working on the same code base, and someone is simply sharing his experience. He can do it in not the best way, as you mentioned.
Everybody's professional and all that stuff. But how do you personally deal with people who take things personally? Like it's like, you're offending people. Like how do you deal with them? Do you give up on your idea if it's something less of a required thing? Like if it's something that we're talking about, improving the way the code reads, the way the code, is organized and stuff like that. Do you give up on your idea or you keep on pushing against that?
It depends. For the point when it's a bug, it should be fixed. There is no...
Like that's understandable.
Yes, that is no place. When it can be improved, mostly in a complex solution, it's better to simplify them if it is possible. It's also a point when you have to push it. If it is something...
but if the person is, let's say, problematic, it just doesn't work for you to work with him, all the time. When you try and suggest some things, he doesn't take them as suggestions or improvements. He just takes them as an offense, as let me show you how it's done. How do you deal with those people?
There is two kind of things. One can be with the taste, and the taste I don't try to push because it's the point of the taste. And exists the point which we discussed a bit before, the point when we have some existing solutions which can be reapplied if they fit. If a part of a solution can be improved by reusing some existing approach, it always keeps the code base a bit more the same.
Okay, so another question I think is relevant for like people who do code review in companies, because like most of us do code review. If you don't do code review, you should do code review. But let's say we do code review actively, we want to improve it. How do we deal with people, or how do you personally deal with differences of opinion? Let's say both ideas are good, both share some pluses and minuses. How do you deal? Like, do you keep on pushing your idea? Do you accept or give up on some of your points and start to see things like from a different point of view?
As I said, it depends. If it is part of a taste, mostly I'm writing the comment that I like it because, and I bring some arguments, but I'm never blocking functionality if it is only point of taste.
Let's say we don't have this case where it's a required fix. It's something, again, into like the gray zone. It's optional, but also you strongly believe it's kind of required, and you insist on that. And there's the other guy who's just so stubborn and he doesn't want to change it. How do you deal with that kind of person?
You know, if it is a moment where
like
things
are gonna start getting on fire,
Yes.
you know, you're gonna start getting tension.
I have powerful arguments, let's say, situation. I have powerful arguments why my solution is better, but it can be, let's say, these arguments are not regarding optimization, are not regarding the part with bugs, it's regarding the code readability.
Yeah.
A simple case, you know, when you want the solution to be more readable. If we are coming to an end where nobody can move, we have to get the third person to decide. We have a number of team leaders and we are using their decision. We are asking, okay, at this point, please say your opinion. For example, not only single person, but let other three person to decide between them.
As Egor said, inviting somebody in the game, in the debate, may help solve the problem even faster than you think. Another question that I have is, and I think is relevant, especially for companies that are, or teams that are pushed by deadlines, by time, by products. What happens when there's something which needs to be done like very fast? You're usually pushed by a deadline. Do you become less, pushy, and you kind of give up on the idea, where you still want your idea to make it into the pull request?
For the point of the final user, we are providing the functionality faster. And after we are improving it, making so-called tech debt.
Are you or not indulgent to certain people that are your friends, people that you like more than other people when doing code review? Because it happens to a lot of us. A lot of us will be less pushy, less, arrogant when doing code review if we're talking about our friends or people which we relate to like better.
From my side, I am always keeping the same approach, indifferently from the person. The code is code. The code should have some standards. It should be of specific quality, which would allow it to be merged with the final version of the product.
There are people who are like, you know what, I'm just going to approve because this is my friend. He's like doing things kind of the same way that I do things.
This kind of
and then bugs happen, you know?
Yes, I encountered this kind of things in the team, and it always provides a problem.
Because there are reviews which have like 2-3 comments, and there are other reviews which have like 100 and something comments, and like, why is this difference?
Always trying to keep the same level of code base, to keep it on the same level.
Yeah, it's always a good idea to keep things professionally, not get into emotions and stuff like that. Yet again, it happens. People, think differently. And
people are people. They always do some different stuff.
The interesting thing about code review is that on the one hand, you have people, relationships, communication between the team. And on the other hand, you have pure code, like technical stuff, which doesn't have any emotions, and you have to kind of combine the two and, bring the best on the table. And it's sometimes your argument is what solves the conflict. Other times, a little bit of understanding is what solves the conflict. Other times, you just have to fix it no matter what, because it doesn't work.
Regarding the balance is always on the part of how much you want to be the person who is accepted by everyone and how much you want to be a professional, and it's a bit hard to combine them both.
I get what you're saying, because sometimes you try to comply with the general opinion, what everybody thinks is cool, and other times you're trying to be a professional, as you said. Other times you're trying to, even though if that doesn't align with the project guidelines, with the team guidelines, or the company-wide standards and decisions. And it's like hard. You have to find, the golden ratio. All right, ladies and gentlemen, that was pretty much it on this Q&A over coffee. Thanks, Egor, again for coming. It was a pleasure to listen to those tips, because things get very delicate when you're talking about code reviews. It's not like a super technical thing. It's not something which gets very technical, but it's something which gets very human, and that is usually a problem in teams and companies, and and different kind of projects. And thanks for your experience. Thanks for sharing that with us. And hopefully you guys have learned some things. And if you have something else which may benefit all of us, including myself, Egor, make sure to share it in the comments below. Make sure to write down your comments, your problems, your tips when it comes to code review.
Thanks a lot for inviting, it was a pleasure.
Yeah, it was a pleasure as well, and I'll see you guys in the next video. Peace. You're supposed to say something. You should say war. No, sorry. That's just my outro.